Hello, trading has closed on April 23rd, 2025. As always, we start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, make our predictions. This is my trading plan for tomorrow, Thursday, April 24th, 2025. I have personal business in the afternoon. I'm not certain I'll make any trades. If I do, it'll be early in the day. Just remember, I can change my plan. My plan can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. Well, this was the pattern with the early high, which we called for, and tomorrow should have the early low. Futures are up 90 handles. When I made the video, they closed up 88, so nothing happened from the time I made the video. So, in retrospect, I'm glad I didn't make any call. It's just a reminder of what we said. Tomorrow has the early low. During the day, MEJT said this blip up wasn't for keeps, it fell back. Now says this drop isn't for keeps, gives us a target of 54.03.45, most likely to print tomorrow. Just remember, if we gap down smartly, it kills the call before the open, kills the price correction, kills the time, but doesn't kill the price. That should be seen at some point. Well, this is a pattern which usually closes near the day's high. That didn't happen. Now, time doesn't run out until tomorrow morning. So if we gap up and overtake the high, it's the normal pattern. That would be kind of a tall order. It would take 100 handle gap pretty much, but I guess in this market those things have been happening. If that doesn't happen, this is a negative pattern, features a straight line drop, and usually that means that the drop isn't over. Usually that means you're going to keep dropping, but it does not mean you have to close lower. When you have the failure of the normal pattern, it typically closes near the low. We didn't. Time doesn't run out until tomorrow morning on that either. So if we don't take this high out, the odds are we're going to take out these lows. Now, so far, this negative pattern is ameliorated by the fact that we dropped all day and the close was over these lows. But again, if we gap down here, that positivity goes away, and it's going to take a lot less energy to go under these lows than it is to go over these highs. And I think one of those things is going to happen. And I'm not going to say which. But I will show you this chart. This is a trend line. Usually when you rally up to a trend line and you don't go through it, either you gap over the line or the line wins. So pretty much, if we're going to keep going up, bulls have their work cut out for them. They would pretty much have to gap over today's high and hold it. That's a tall order, but nothing's impossible. And if they do it, not saying they will, in fact, it's going to be a lot easier to continue lower, but I don't know how we'll open. And if we gap over this, if that happens, you're forming an ascending triangle formation at a low. Now, it's not an ascending triangle on an Elliott wave count, but it's because that would have to be in the next to the last wave. All triangles are. But when you have an ascending triangle involving the low price and then break out, if that happens, it's a very powerful pattern and tends to lead to a straight line move higher, maybe even to new all-time highs. I am not predicting that at all, but if we get a gap over here and hold it, that's what could happen. I think it's going to be much easier to continue lower, but I'm not going to say it's guaranteed. I have to use the mixed signals rules here. Tomorrow's pattern has really low regardless of where we open. There's a higher MEJT target. Unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for it to print. Gapping down smartly can't be ruled out since tomorrow is likely to have a gap open. Signals are mixed. It's positive there's a higher target and the day-long decline didn't close under intraday lows, and when the normally bullish pattern fails, prices tend to close near the low of day. Now time doesn't run out until tomorrow's open, so gapping down with current lows being so close is entirely possible, meaning that you don't have to see that target price, at least not tomorrow, if we gap down smartly. It's negative today's pattern didn't close near the high of day. Should lead to lower prices printing fairly soon, even if we don't close lower. Just because you trade lower doesn't mean you close lower. Gapping and promptly overtaking the high of day kills the pattern. The reversal off the early high usually gets follow-through. In order to continue higher on the beta, the market would have to gap over today's high. That seems like a tall order. It's not impossible, but that would call for a 100-point gap up. If we do manage to gap over the high of day, it would be extremely bullish because it would represent a breakout from an ascending triangle. And the breakout from such a triangle, when that triangle is forming a low, is extremely powerful, usually is followed by a straight line advance. But please be aware, I am not predicting we get that breakout. I'm just saying if the breakout happens, it's very bullish. When you fail like this, right at that trend line, you're so close to taking these out, even though I can't be positive we'll trade lower. It certainly is an easier path, that's all I'll say, especially with a pattern with an early low. Just be aware, even though trading lower is the easier path, if we gap up over this and hold it, don't reverse it immediately, if there's a 100-point gap up, you would lead to a powerful rally. I am not predicting that. I'm just saying if it happens, that's the usual follow-through. You don't get ascending triangles at lows very often. It's a pretty rare formation, but when it happens, it leads to a straight line move up, according to a book I read decades ago. And that's, and tomorrow, I think I've said this already, tomorrow's the pattern with the early low. And we'll see how we open. Looking for a gap. And that is today's call.